You know what I like about the camera? Specifically, me being, I say, behind the camera.
Yeah, because you are. When you're behind the lens, you're behind the camera. You choose what gets captured.
Yeah.
You choose what gets documented.
And it's like, it's from my perspective. But my perspective might be the only perspective of the night.
You met T.H.E before T.H.E?
T.H.E, what's good, brother? How you doing? Peace. What's up with you, brother?
Hey, shit, how you?
Good to see you.
You too.
Yeah. Being behind the lens, even with photography, like Mr. Fickle, because you know he does photography. Mm-hmm. He began to realize that behind the camera, you're able to frame life in a totally different way.
Right.
You know, you're able to frame life in a way in which you would like for it to be perceived.
Mm-hmm. And it's no right or wrong. You know, that's what I like about it. It's your interpretation of what you...
concrete grass, I got to the point where I started just taking pictures of grass growing up from the concrete. Mm-hmm. And people that started seeing it was like, oh, what's that about? And the first thing they think is like, you know, just like Tupac, the rose that grew from concrete. Mm-hmm. The fact that even in this environment, we're able to still bring life. And that's what that concrete grass is, the medicine.
Right.
That's what that concrete grass is about. So that's the beautiful part about that. The music in general, though, what I'm feeling the most about music right now is whether you like the music or dislike the music, you all have a chance to hear the music. Mm. Before, there would be somebody hot, and if you ain't go to a certain DJ or you weren't at a certain party, you just missed out on history. Like, can you remember the first time you heard Eric B for President's Face?
Yes.
I was at a block party. That joint went... Then the bass came in. He's like, yo, what the hell is that? That shit was quaking, but you only can hear it at the house parties because the radio wasn't playing it.
Right.
Okay. You had already heard it at the house parties for a whole summer. Then wintertime comes, now the radio picks it up.
I had on some burgundy suede Pumas.
He said, I remember the exact night.
I remember the sneakers I had because I was dancing. I was like, I don't want to fuck up my sneakers dancing.
Now, what era are we talking about right now? Like, to put it in perspective, all right, late 80s.
It's the Eric B for President.
Okay,
yes, talking about
86.
86, 88.
All right, so let me ask y'all this. From that point till now, do you feel like DJs have lost their, I don't want to say lost their way, because that's not what I'm trying to say, but do you...
They started getting paid more for the actual money. For the actual... Before, the DJs were interested in breaking whatever the hottest song was. Whatever the song that they thought was unique, whatever the song they thought needed to be heard, that's what was different about back then. Right now, they play what's most popular. That's pop music. That's when hip-hop became pop music. The difficulty with that is sometimes you hear like an Eric B for President or a symphony by Molly Moore, and it wasn't popular music yet. It was just good music.
Right. Okay.
Now hip-hop has become pop music. Now people say that offensively, but pop music means popular music. It is the most popular music.
Right.
Country Western was the most pop at one time. Big band was pop at one time. Rock was pop at one time. Right now, hip-hop is the most popular form of music. So it takes a few jabs because it has become pop music. Like you almost can't have a song now without having an MC spit a verse on it.
Right.
And before, those songs were shunned. If you had Heavy D or somebody on a song, you may not even hear his verse. He on the song, but you don't even hear his verse. They only play Janet Jackson.
Got you. Yeah. Okay.
I do think that DJs are still sticking to the polls. I think that DJs find whatever their age group or genre that they're dealing with, and they make sure that they at least attempt to get these people into this vibration.
Right. Gotcha.
I believe that DJs are still doing what they have to do, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the kind of person that embraces a song when it first comes out. But I'm the kind of person that I gotta let it simmer and sit for a minute and feel out the artist. But when I wind up listening to Cardi B album, and I wind up listening to Nicki Minaj album, simply because I don't want to judge the artist I want to actually give them the opportunity to feel out their entirety.
Right.
Gotcha.
Not just the commercial perspective that we hear about them. I think that's due to the DJs. You know what I'm saying? The DJs are allowing me the opportunity to really feel the music. And I think that that's good because I'm a very hard critique. I critique hard. You see what I'm saying? But if you give me something that got some shit in it and I'm like, yo, I like this person. That's why he'll be like, well, how you like this guy? And I'm like, dude.
I remember the first time we played some Camron. I'm like, yeah, you listen to Camron? Like, yeah, it was Sex, Sports, and
Drug Sports and Entertainment.
Drug Sports and Entertainment.
And what's that? That's the first.
That's the
second. That's the second, right? Yeah.
Camron was the man.
Yeah.
So because he was listening to that, and I respect him as an MC, I started listening to just to hear what Cam was saying. Now, I've come to the point where I'm not one who's a big fan of Cam's flow, but I'll tell you what I am a fan of. He got a YouTube episode joint. He formed Dipset and kept that unit together fairly well as a label for a while. He brought the liquor stores. Regardless of how you feel about it, liquor stores make money. His business moves were so solid that I've begun to appreciate him as a businessman. Then he did he was in the Paid in Full and all of them. To me, I like the artists that fit well against all aspects of the industry. You know, I saw something with Lil Yachty one time, and I was ready to get a young boy Smoke with the red hair and all that. But he had put together an endorsement with, I believe, Target and Sprite.
And Sprite, yeah.
And so what he did was
crazy rollout. Yeah, crazy.
What he did was, now mind you, he's negotiating that sponsorship directly. So his label's not involved, his manager and all of them isn't involved. We started getting to the point where we could deal with the sponsorship directly if you had an audience that you were able to politic enough with. So that's what I really appreciate about what the young people are doing, in the young world right now. But getting back to DJ, now that I think about it, I think Fat Man Scoop was on a live stream and he was talking. He was asked, did he play J. Cole? Did he play Kendrick Lamar? And he said no. He said, but I listened to it personally. But as a DJ, understand the DJ has a different job. The DJ job is to get asses on the dance floor. So he plays what's cranking. That could be any artist.
Right.
That could be any artist. So they're in a world where, depending on the audience, they may play some 80s shit. They may play some Tupac.
Yeah, because you gotta go off the vibe.
The DJ is in a whole nother realm of operation. So I digged in with that. But what I found, K-Slade did well too. When, he breaks a lot of underground artists and whatnot. What I find interesting is that the DJ himself is actually becoming important again. Important in a way that he actually makes or breaks records again.